Come up here. Okay.
Church right over here. So that's just like
All right.
All right, well, without further ado, I think maybe we'll get this meeting started. So, first off, I want to say thank you to everyone for coming out today to learn about the really exciting upcoming Jaquith Park project. Kind of how it's going to run today is I'll give a brief overview of our committee. Any members of the public in the audience. So I guess to start off, we're the Pickleball Advisory Committee. We can start off with some brief introductions.
Very good. I'm Cheryl Greiner.
I'm Nick Conan.
I'm Linda Sandberg.
I'm Julie Peterson.
Lance Trantham.
And we've got Bob Olson in the back. So Bob and Lori Rauch, who wasn't able to make it today, have been serving on the committee for just under a year now. And then in the past, this committee was formed in 2021 to sort of use our knowledge, expertise, and time to provide input to CPRD in things related to pickleball. Some other committee members who have served in the past, just want to give them credit, are Hunter Wiley and Mike Kringlin. They really help move projects forward. So yeah, we were provided a set of guidelines by CPRD, sort of guidelines and goals that we want to work within to help complete some objectives for our community. And just so you guys, we're all on the same page, I'm going to go through those. We're going to work on facility development, amenities and features, community engagement, inclusivity and access, programming and events, coaching and education, equipment and maintenance, partnership and funding, promotion and marketing, advocacy, feedback and communication. And over the last 4 years, I think we've really tried to work hard on those, and there's some we're still working on, but I think this project is a really nice culmination of some of those things. So why we're excited about this project, as a lot of people know, pickleball is growing and has been at a rapid rate, and it's a great sport because it is accessible to so many people of all ages, all athletic backgrounds. And it's easy to see here in Newberg. If you go out to the courts in the evenings, you see George Fox players playing, you see grandparents playing with their grandkids, you see couples playing, you see families playing with their stroller next to the courts, and it's really great. It's a great recreational community sport. Outside of this anecdotal sort of data, we put a recent survey out to the Newberg Pickleball Club members, and I've got some really interesting feedback on that. So one thing that's cool is 30% of our Newberg Pickleball Club members are aged 60 to 69, and 24% are aged 70 plus. And those are often demographics that are underserved in communities when it comes to recreation. That being said, I think our district already does a good job of serving those communities because of our senior center and programs like that. But additional pickleball opportunities is another great addition for that. The other thing that's cool is our at least the respondents to our survey, 50-50 gender split. There's not a lot of sports that have a 50-50 gender split. And then 74% of our members play pickleball 3 or more times a week when the weather is good enough and the courts are dry enough. That's a lot of time for our community members to get outside, exercise, socialize, laugh with one another. In the past year, in special events alone that the Newberg Pickleball Club has been a part of, whether that's hosting them, whether that's volunteering at them or providing equipment at them, they all took place here in Newberg. We've served over 820 different people. That is 820 people who are getting out to exercise, learning new things, socializing, like I said. That number doesn't even include our regular scheduled play during the mornings that can have upwards of 40 players, our evening play, our community members getting out and playing recreationally. So needless to say, pickleball is popular in our community and it gets people out using our parks. Also, Newberg has a very much thriving tennis community, both recreational, a very well attended high school program, and then George Fox as well, a very successful program in itself. So this project will definitely benefit those programs as well. And it will mean that the tennis community will always have courts to play on, even when there's pickleball related things going on, and vice versa. When there's tennis things going on, the pickleball players will also have courts to play on. Again, really just encouraging our community to get out and utilize our parks. So that being said, a little bit about the project itself. Richard, would it be possible to get the schematic of the project up there? Sweet. So I will go through this fairly briefly. But as you can see here, here's a schematic of the project. So what it entails is 6 permanent pickleball courts located on the east side of the current tennis courts. These courts will have 10 feet from the baseline to the fence, 7 feet between courts, which is great sort of standard spacing in any top quality pickleball facility. You'll also have 6 pickleball courts painted over 2 tennis courts that have the same spacing that we currently have at Jaquith Park, although it will be rearranged so that court 1 will have a little more space as you enter in the park. There will also be an 8-foot wide waiting area along the north end of those pickleball courts, and each court will have an individual gate to enter in, which is a very great feature here. Looking at the tennis courts, there'll be 2 dedicated tennis courts with a 21-foot baseline to fence measurement and 16 feet between courts. The court surface will be, if anyone wants to look this up, or please don't ask me any questions about this, but the surface will be the California Sports Surfaces Plexi Hard Court System. Again, it's a very popular court system. From the reviews and things I've heard, plays very well for both tennis and pickleball, so that's really exciting. The project will have landscaping all around it, partially to help with sound buffering. And then there will be a settling pond north of the pickleball courts and east of the tennis courts to assist with stormwater retention. And that will basically only hold water after a major rain event. And there will be trees and native vegetation planted there. So that is kind of my 30,000-foot view of the project. Casey, is there anything major that you feel I missed that you want to add before we go to question and answer?
I will.
Yeah.
I'll give a little bit of a spiel here.
Great.
You gave me a new mic, so let's hope it works. Turn it on. Can you hear me? Yep. Okay. We had put in for land use in March sometime, and we received approval for the land use, and the effective date was May 6th, and that was after a 15-day appeal period. We sent out 150 or so notices to property owners around the Jaquith courts, and we received 5 replies back from the city. So not a lot. And I asked Julie the other day, she was down there. There was pickleball going on and baseball, and the park was full, and still no noise complaints. So, well, part of the decision that the city came up with is that we need to regulate the play hours a little bit. Apparently, there's been some pickleballers there at 5:30 in the morning and later on at night. So we're gonna put some signs up that, you know, the facility's open from 7 to 7 every day. That should still play well with, it's not quite as dusk or dawn to dusk, but it is within the city noise ordinance. The stormwater plan, and there was a stormwater plan needed for the site as we put in some more impervious surfaces. The parking was deemed okay, but we will probably open up some other area of the park for parking on a temporary basis. And street lighting must be verified, so there we might have to add an additional street light. Just because of the requirements of the land use. fencing must match or exceed existing materials, design. The plan is to replace all the fencing around the entire facility, both the resurfaced tennis courts and the newly developed pickleball courts. Fire lane compliance per Newberg Fire Department, they didn't see a problem with it, so. No conflicts were reported from city departments and or utilities. The concerns were noise, proximity to homes, and a loss of open green space. I know there's people that use that park for picnics and other things, and it does kind of cut down on that area as well. The design review and findings, it complies with the zoning, the parking, landscape, and design requirements, and it's not subject to signage or manufactured housing requirements, and no new public roadway or utilities are required. All the utilities that we need on this are on site, so. Then the city recommended, and they cited studies that they compiled with distances from 150 to 600 feet. They recommend some type of sound buffering. Nick was right, the landscaping will help, but it doesn't mitigate the noise. It's less of a barrier than a noise barrier. So what we've proposed is that we will put some sound barriers around the entire new pickleball facility. And that changes kind of some of the design that Nick was talking about. And I think, Richard, the picture with the red right there, this kind of shows the proposed 10-foot fencing around the facility. It shows that part of the court will get soundproofing, and the requirement was not on the older facility, the tennis side. What that does is cuts the noise down approximately from 70 to 50 decibels or 55 decibels, which is acceptable. And apparently pickleball is a very annoying noise to some people. But I think, and then we're gonna provide some further landscaping around that too. But you'll notice in there, Nick, we included the proposed seating area. And in front of that seating area, there's not a 10-foot fence, there's a 4-foot.
Okay.
So spectators can view it. We added all the new pathway and the information we talked about last pickleball meeting and the changes that were made. I think that's really about all the updates that I could tell you about. Question?
Is that where the restroom is now? The white triangle on
No.
The restroom is probably directly north of the last pickleball court.
That is the holding the stormwater.
That's a
Yeah.
stormwater facility.
That's currently grass.
Yeah.
The basketball area, the covered basketball area, that covered basketball area, I think is just a little bit
Can't see
north
it.
of that. That little area there is grass currently, and it would be put in as a, sorry.
The pathway you see around the perimeter of
Hey
that,
Casey, that mic needs to be closer.
the pathway you see around the perimeter of the facility is the existing pathway. So the basketball courts and the bathrooms will be just off that pathway.
Casey, can you describe number 4 for this group?
Number 4, where is number 4?
Upper right?
It's a maintenance entrance, or it can be a maintenance entrance, or it can be an entrance into either courts, either of those courts there from this side. There are entryways into, I believe, the spectator area, and also from the tennis side, there'll be a double entry in there for maintenance.
And can you describe what exactly the sound barrier is?
We're looking into that.
Okay.
They're working on construction drawings, we'll try to get it out for bid.
Yeah.
The goal is still to begin construction on the courts this summer, with completion this fall. In order to do that, the design team will be submitting for construction documents as soon as possible, like within the next 2 weeks. And then we'll be advertising for contractor bids in the next few weeks, so.
Will they upgrade the bathrooms, or is that somebody
That's
different?
not part of this project, but I know they're looking, Brian Stewart and his team are looking into possibly upgrading some restroom facilities.
In light of the playtime restrictions, is there a plan for lighting of the courts?
Eventually, we're gonna make sure there's conduits and everything in there, but at this stage, we're just providing a facility.
Yeah, and
Nick has some other, you know, they want a roof structure, they want
Yeah.
yeah.
this, and, you know, it turns into doubles the cost of the project.
Yeah, one thing I didn't mention sort of in the overview of the project and some of the goals of our committee is, you know, we have a lot, you know, all the numbers I mentioned of how many pickleball participants we have, that only takes place when it's light out and it's sunny, which isn't a ton of months here in Oregon. So we are hoping that there will be a phase 2 of this project, and Casey's done a great job working with the architect to make sure that phase 1 allows for a phase 2 that could have a structure and allow us to play pickleball year round as opposed to just a few months out of the year.
This is probably old news, but how did you come up with how many pickleball courts were needed and how many tennis courts were needed? I mean, was that just like, oh, we'd like to have 6 more, or was there data behind that?
It was largely based off of available space. In the early days of our committee, we were thinking much bigger, but much bigger means a lot more money. And our job is, although we are the pickleball committee, to serve the entire community and to take up our green space to put in a hardscape like a pickleball court has its own challenges. One thing that, speaking of more pickleball courts, there are plans to put 2 more pickleball courts in Newberg, as far as I'm aware, at the Rennie Field here in the coming years. No timeline on that, but a couple more at least on the timeline.
Yeah.
So how do you anticipate other outsiders coming in from other communities coming in to use the courts at that point?
Yeah, I think given that it's a public space, there's nothing really we can do to control that. But our hope is if they come out and use our beautiful new pickleball courts, they'll also go and grab a coffee at Lyrics or a beer at Social Goods and lunch at Dos Mundos and support our economy is the hope. And join the Newberg Pickleball Club. Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that is one thing that we've really worked hard on, and is that we are serving the entire community and the surrounding communities. And as we know, pickleball courts are at a premium. And with adding the configuration that we did, we feel as if we're maximizing the space that we had. But we all know if we play pickleball, when a court from that court over there comes over, it's not fun because we're always worried about ankles and stuff. So, and if you go out and you walk the space, it does fit beautifully into that spot. And then the church, the Presbyterian church, is on the back side.
Oh, I scratched.
Yeah, Julian might know more, but I'm curious if there's plans for a CPRD specific youth and or adult club sponsored by CPRD where they could generate revenue through fees or anything.
Yeah, definitely. Lori Roush actually put on a youth camp, I think it was 2 years ago. That was when it was kind of just starting in the community to get, to be a sport that people really enjoyed. And I think we do have a plan for that, for camps, and I know the high school has a pickleball club that Lori runs as well. And so we are very interested in that. We'd love to put on more tournaments. It was really neat. I went out to the tournament on Sunday, and I talked to the lady that was in charge. Do you guys know her name?
Lori.
Yeah, she was great. And there were some softball teams that came over to warm up in that grassy area. And so I said to her, hey, have the softball teams been coming over? And she said, no, not really. And so I said, well, I'll go talk to them and make sure that if they're warming up, if they're hitting, if they're pitching that, not towards the tournament and the courts. And her response was, you know what? We love having them here. Like, this park belongs to everybody, and we love having them. And so when I first got involved with the Pickleball Advisory Committee, and even prior to that with Peter, what's Peter's last name?
Renwick.
Yeah, he was the first guy that I met that was kind of had a passion for pickleball, and I really, with pickleball, everyone they just work really well together. I think everybody has the same attitude, and it's been a pleasure to work with the Pickleball Advisory Committee and people that are out there playing. I think the people that live around that area are very used to noise because of the baseball and softball programs out there. So I don't really think that that's going to be much of a problem, and we're going to do whatever we can to, mitigate any noise. We can only control so much, right? I never really get calls. I've gotten one call in, I would say, 5 or 6 years about the noise. So good job on that. We're really excited to have something, a place of this. I don't know, it's going to be a very nice facility for this community. We're really looking forward to it. So, as the sports supervisor, it's very, very difficult to find an adult sport that everybody can participate in. So we have adult league basketball that's very competitive. Those guys are cutthroat out there. And you're playing against some 25-year-old 20-year-old men and women, and then we have adult softball, and then we have co-ed softball, and those are also very competitive. And so we're really looking forward to being able to serve the adult community, and it's a multi-generational sport. And so this is a great project for us. And so I just wanted to say that the Pickleball Advisory Committee, they are great people, and they've spent a lot of their time, helping CPRD. And my heart just goes out to them. Mike Kringlin was a great asset as well. And so I just wanted to thank you guys, because without you, we wouldn't be here. And so it's amazing. Yeah.
I'd like to go back to Barb's question about how we came about the number. In order to have a tournament, you pretty much have to have at least 12 courts. And so that was our minimum. And having the 6 designated courts, if we have tournaments, we can expand it into the tennis side.
Casey mentioned the time, like 7 to 7, which I agree, if like a time limit is great. Is there any talk about in the summer months?
Can we use the podium?
Yeah, good call. Yeah, so Heidi, if you want to go up to the podium, and
We'll start with you.
yeah, you got to be on the record.
The voice of God comes down.
Just the question was, our longer days are short, so 7 p.m. cutoff seems a little early, just because, especially if you're working and you get home and want to go play. Is there any flexibility with that, or is that a hard 7 to 7?
And by the way, if you guys want to pass that mic around, we can do it that way too.
I would say as a tennis player, we played till dark many times and the police have never shown up.
Well, and part of that, and we're still working on this with the city, part of that is.
Casey, Mike. Charades at this point, I'm sorry.
Part of that is we are doing noise mitigation, so we'll see how that works. We can measure sound from there and see what kind of performance or what kind of noise is gonna come from that facility. And maybe we just post, you can play within the noise restricted area, just don't play on the tennis courts or something like that.
Well, and maybe no music after 7, is that, you know,
Yeah.
Before 7.
or before
Yeah,
7,
yeah.
definitely.
No lead floors before 7.
Well,
as a neighborhood.
yeah, there is a city ordinance that restricts noise from 7 AM
7.
until 10 PM.
Okay.
But this goes a little bit beyond that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, as the example of someone who works, you know, from 7 a.m. till a lot of times 5:36, you know, having to not being able to play past 7 would be a bit frustrating.
Real quick, so Jim McMaster to the Chehalem Park and Recreation District Board, and Matt is also here with the board. And when the pickleball folks came to us originally, it was an exciting time for us, but there was a lot of stuff on the drawing board that folks wanted, and I remember explicitly me asking, okay, what do you need? Not what do you want. Everybody wants more and more and more. What do you need? And so the 6 courts came up in that meeting, and it's online. You can go back and look at it. But also with that, I just want everyone here to know, and the public to know, that this was not a project in our master plan as a park district. But the board of directors at the time saw that there was such a huge interest in this sport that we wanted to make it work in our budget, which was difficult. So I want everybody to know that everybody wants more. They want a building and so on. But you know, we'll work towards that. So you have to have patience. I'm just glad that we were able to come together and be able to provide what you folks are going to get, which you know, as you can see with all the numbers that have come out tonight, we need. So thanks for everything the committee's done. Really appreciate it. I know I can speak for Matt and say the same thing, that you guys have worked hard, and also the staff trying to fit this in. And I think that we can work with the city on the hours due to the light, and I'm sure the staff will work on that. So thank you for coming.
Any other questions, feedback?
I'm not sure to whom I should address the question, but is there even a rough estimate of the construction time? And has there been any discussion about during the construction time, are there any alternative places to play that might maybe be temporary or could pop up in some way or another?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think maybe that's a Casey question.
Not me.
Well, I would say in terms of a place to play, the high school would not be available to us during that time. We actually have some summer camps out there. We have a tennis camp and we have Pee Wee camp out there. And that's, you know, we wouldn't, because this is a pub, you know, you guys use the public space, we wouldn't make sure, we wouldn't identify a time, I guess, for you guys to play out there. But I do, you know, the Aquatic Center, Chehalem Aquatic and Fitness Center, they do have some courts. We can offer those. I think, you know, Dundee, you can go out there. There aren't any lines out there, though, and our plan is not to line those tennis courts with pickleball lines. Just FYI. For 3 or 4 months, you're just going to have to, like...
3 or 4 months, that much?
Yeah. Well, I would say, how long do you think it's going to take, Casey?
July through probably September.
Yeah.
It might be quicker, but that's just kind of a rough guess.
When it's done, it's gonna be amazing, but it's gonna take some
Yeah.
time.
Yes.
But for people who are part of Newberg Pickleball, we're part of Columbia River. So you've got Wilsonville, where are some of the other places? We've got all kinds of different places we can play within our bigger club. And I did ask at the last meeting to see if we can get some information out to members on those locations and their general time of play. Like they have certain times where they have advanced play, certain times that they have beginner play, for our members to be able to have places, other places to go for that time frame.
Playtime scheduler.
But does everybody use that?
Yeah.
What about
Regularly.
Most of the people, heading in the greater Portland area utilize it. As you head down to McMinnville, Salem area, not as many, but heading towards Portland, Sherwood, Wilsonville, Beaverton, it's very heavily used, yeah.
30, 40,
Tualatin.
30, 40 places a day posted on different levels of play that you can select anywhere you want to go.
Oh yeah, and then out in Carlton as well, there's the Court 51 that you can go and reserve courts. It's pay to play, but it's indoor. But yeah, and that's Court 51. You can find it online.
It just depends how far you want to drive too.
Exactly.
Yeah. I play in Hillsborough, I play in McMinnville, I play in Tamerley, I play everywhere, so it just depends on how much you want to drive.
Kenny, would you be willing to set up a carpool service for everyone?
Julie,
Depends on what your level is.
is there an option to tape the courts at Dundee if we do the taping? And supply
Well,
the
Lance
tape?
has my striper.
Well, no, that's a painter. That would be painting the lines. I mean, temporary tape lines. Can we do that?
I don't see why not. I'd want to confer with Brian Stewart, though.
You might want to talk to neighbors.
Oh.
Yeah.
Behind their houses.
It's true.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So if we went over there and set up a net and chalked it out, they couldn't say anything then? I mean, we used to play that way, you put chalk.
Microphone?
With tennis courts.
Yeah.
And
I thought my voice was loud enough.
No, you guys, we're in a public meeting, and so it's got to be
Oh, okay.
recorded, so that's why we're asking you to use a mic.
Okay, I'm basically saying that if we went over there and just chalked it out like we used to do at Hammerley and put our own net up, but we actually used a tennis court then, would that be a challenge with the community?
Quite possibly.
Okay. And then we would be warned out, that somebody would come out and say, hey, you guys can't do this.
I mean, we do know some of the neighbors over there, but that facility is it's in their backyard.
Yes,
So,
it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, and, they say minimum development is 150 feet away from housing, and it's not even close to that, so. I would expect some feedback if you were to do that.
Okay. I don't plan on playing there.
I already have a number of courts.
You can talk to the city of Newberg, I'm sure they have lots of roads, you could just put masking tape on.
Play on 99.
That was asked of ODOT, and they really didn't like that idea. Well, believe me, we explored a lot of different locations.
we did.
And facility types, and, it came down, we even tried to work with George Fox. And it came down to, well, this is what we're gonna do for now, so.
And we're very happy with it.
We're thrilled.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
A question about the construction schedule. Is the resurfacing of the tennis courts kind of concurrent with the construction of the new pickleball facility, or is kind of one's going to happen first and then the other, or are they going to go at the same
Together.
time?
They're both going at the same time. Yeah, it's a one project deal. That was the way to resurface the tennis courts and build the new facility, so they'll be there for another 30 years or whatever before they have to rip into them again. Because there is a lifespan of asphalt. I'm assuming if we all get to cover that facility, it may last a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to ask the hard question. What is CPRD's current, how are they messaging to the public in regards to Jaquith Park's overall status with kind of some of the maintenance plans while you're working on a brand new project?
Yeah, that's a good question. So our public information director, Kat Ricker, will be getting information out to the public. I would say that's, when we start a project, when we're in the middle of it, she is, the Newberg Graphic, Newsberg, our Facebook, all of our social media platforms. We have access to emails. We'll make sure that we are notifying everybody. And I think people are going to be really excited about it. There's so many people that visit that park that I think a lot of people will know, but Kat Ricker will be in charge of that for the district.
Yeah, and on the Pickleball Advisory Committee webpage, that's part of the CPRD webpage,
Yeah.
we post the minutes, agenda, that sort of thing. It's really riveting stuff if you guys ever want to give it a read.
And I would think that the pickleball club would be sending out information as well through, forwarding from us to the pickleball club so that you guys have access to that information.
Just another reason to join the Newberg Pickleball Club.
There you go.
Well, and we can also share that with Jim, and you can share it with your community, the tennis community. No?
Speaking as a tennis player and a neighbor, I border the courts. I'm very excited about this, partly because it takes the pickleball further from the neighborhood. Because I don't mind it that much. I love the softball sounds, so that's great. And having 2 dedicated courts is great because, like last weekend, there were no tennis courts all weekend. So this removes our aggravating thing. But overall, the project seems great. So you might want to canvass the neighbors about water erosion concerns, if this is going to be enough to absorb all the extra overflow, because we have a lot of erosion in that ditch, which my property we're protected, but our neighbors are facing erosion issues all the time.
Thank you for that. That means a lot that we've got the tennis players. I mean, we've been concerned about the tennis players, and I'm glad that you're positive about
This
it.
is great because there'll always be courts there.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank
Wasn't
you.
our last meeting that we heard that there was a part of the ditch being redone? Or
The
did I
ditch is
miss?
not being redone.
They've done some work on it. That's a city stormwater ditch, and yeah, it's been a difficult
The people
subject
on
for a
Marguerite
long
Court
time.
the ditch erosion is a considerable concern for them. And that's not just because of the pickleball courts or the tennis courts, but the overall drainage system.
Yeah. There's no stormwater facility treatment area in the housing development above there, above Jaquith Park. So all the water goes pretty much unrestricted down that channel.
That said, the house next to us is for sale, and they put a fence to block the view so that you can't see it.
There's a reason they changed some of the stormwater requirements over the years.
One minor piece of feedback I had about the sound barrier, and I'm sure you thought about this. I assume we'll want something that is see-through, so one, not only you can watch pickleball, but from safety concerns, like, then if it's not see-through, people can be in there at...
The barriers that we've been looking at are not see-through.
Okay. And does that pose a safety concern? Because I remember when we brought up a facility with walls, we said we couldn't do it with walls because then the police couldn't see in during their rounds.
Well, we're just gonna have to make that available, whether it's surveillance cameras or internal controls.
Okay.
We'll have to do something.
Yeah.
The membrane they put, is that on? The membrane they put up around Lake Oswego before they closed those courts, you could actually see through. They were black.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I mean, they're usually saddles, but it was pretty thick membrane.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I have a question for the pickleball club, actually. Do you guys find that when the high school uses the courts in the spring, does that affect you?
We
Okay.
canceled all spring events because we
Yeah.
can't use the courts at all.
Yeah.
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 They had rescheduled,
Yeah.
so it's.
Yeah. Or they have away games, or so that's good. That'll really help.
Exactly. Yeah.
That'll really help.
Yeah, because I think it was last year we were trying to host like a spring beginner series, and even when the high school tennis isn't scheduled there, they're replaying a rained out match. Yeah, so it's like it's been difficult. So we're very excited about
That's great.
utilizing it in the spring, especially in Oregon we've all been in our house all winter. The sun finally comes out, you're ready to play, and you don't really have that opportunity. So it's gonna be great.
wonderful.
Any other questions, feedback, thoughts?
I guess I wanted to thank the board, the CPRD board, for
Yes.
stepping forward, and this became a very important project to them, and they listened, to the people in the community, and I thought that was tremendous. Right? So
Yeah.
thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
And staff as well. Julie,
Yes.
thank you for all your work. Casey, thank you for looking into all the many locations that we threw out over the years
Yeah.
and doing your due diligence. Really appreciate it. And I think I speak for the pickleball and hopefully the tennis community when I say we're super excited for this, and I think it's going to be a great asset to the community.
And I think this whole process has been a testament to Newberg in general. I think we have a really cool thing. We work well together. I'm actually led leadership Chehalem Valley. Clay just finished his last program day. But we've noticed this, and I've noticed it over the last 10 years, that when we put our heads together to do a community project, we do it well, and we include so many people, and I've not always worked in that situation, and I think Newberg is a very special place because of what we can do right now, and this is a great example of it. So it takes a lot of people to tango, and we tango very well.
And this is Mr. Clay Downing over here, our new superintendent. We're very excited to have him on board.
Everybody, thanks for coming out. Well, I guess without further ado, we will adjourn the meeting. Cheryl made some delicious cookies for everyone who are in attendance today, so please be sure to take one of those on your way out. Or two. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I could see that up there.